In a small village nestled on the edge of towering mountain ranges, lived a young man named Ali. Ali was known for his courage and boundless curiosity. He loved exploring the forests and unknown areas around his village, always seeking adventure. The villagers often told many stories and ancient legends about a mysterious cave high up in the mountains. It was said to be haunted by an old spirit and cursed, and no one dared to approach it. According to the stories, the cave concealed a great treasure, but it was surrounded by deadly dangers. Every time Ali heard these stories, his curiosity and sense of challenge grew. He knew that what was being said might just be legends, but he also felt there was a kernel of truth behind the tales. He began secretly planning to uncover the mystery of the cave. One day, Ali decided that the time had come for his great adventure. He prepared his small bag, packed some food, a rope, and an old lantern that belonged to his father. Ali set off early in the morning before the village woke up. The mountain was tall, and the path was long, but Ali was determined to reach the top. He climbed the mountain and made his way through thick forests. As he walked along narrow paths filled with trees and mist, he had the feeling that something was watching him. At first, he ignored the sensation, thinking it was just tension, but he had no idea that this was the first sign that the adventure would not be as he had imagined. After hours of walking, Ali finally reached the entrance of the cave. The cave was dark and deep, with cold air seeping out that made him shiver despite the bright sunlight. He stopped at the entrance for a moment, cautiously looking inside. He hesitated between entering or turning back to the village. But he quickly decided that he wouldn't return without discovering the truth. Ali entered the cave carefully, holding his lantern to light his way through the darkness. The cave walls were covered in strange symbols, as if they were ancient drawings telling stories known only to time. Ali advanced slowly, listening to the echo of his footsteps bouncing off the cave's walls. After a few minutes of walking, he began to hear strange sounds, as if the cave itself was whispering to him. He wasn't sure if the sounds were real or just the product of his increasing fear. As he ventured deeper into the cave, Ali felt the air grow heavier, as if the cave was warning him not to go any further. But Ali wasn't the type to back down easily. Suddenly, he reached a large hall at the heart of the mountain. The walls were covered with the same symbols he had seen in the corridor. In the center of the room stood a large golden chest, surrounded by ancient stone pillars. Ali approached the chest slowly, his heart pounding with excitement. Was this the treasure the legends spoke of? He stood before the chest, hesitating for a moment before extending his hand to open it. At that moment, the walls of the cave began to shake violently, as if the cave was trying to stop him from opening the chest. Ignoring the tremors, Ali cautiously opened the chest. But what he found inside was not gold or jewels as he had imagined, but an old map drawn on tattered leather. The map showed strange locations, accompanied by symbols that Ali couldn't understand. But what caught his attention most was a specific place marked at the end of the map, seemingly pointing to another location deep in the mountains. While he was examining the map, stones began to fall from the ceiling, signaling that it was time to leave quickly. Ali rushed out of the cave just before it collapsed, but as he stood outside in the daylight, he realized that this adventure was only the beginning of a greater journey. Holding the map, he knew that the true treasure might be hidden in another place. But the question that haunted him was the map leading him to treasure, or to a fate far more dangerous? He raised his eyes toward the mountains, where the map indicated another destination, and said to himself, "The real adventure begins now." Ali took some time to think about what he had found. The map in his possession was old and full of symbols he didn't understand, but what was clear was that there was another destination waiting for him high up in the mountains. After catching his breath and reflecting on his experience in the cave, he decided to return to the village and prepare better before embarking on a new adventure. When Ali returned to the village, he didn't tell anyone about what he had found. He knew that people wouldn't believe him, and some might even try to stop him from adventuring again out of fear for his safety. Ollie began gathering everything he might need for his next journey: a new map of the area, climbing equipment, and tools to help him decipher the ancient symbols. He also decided to visit the wise old man in a neighboring village, known for his deep knowledge of history and ancient languages. When Ollie reached the wise man, he sat before him and pulled out the map he had found in the cave. The wise man studied the map in silence for several minutes, then spoke in a calm voice. "This map is not just a guide to a place. It's a key to an ancient world. These symbols point to an ancient kingdom that existed in the mountains thousands of years ago. But beware, my boy, these places are not for the faint-hearted. It is said that everyone who attempted to reach them never returned." Ollie felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He asked the wise man how to decipher the symbols, but the old man wasn't entirely sure. "You will need more time and study to understand all of these symbols, but one of them refers to a gate or entrance in a distant part of the mountains. Perhaps this is the place you seek." Ollie thanked the wise man and returned to his village to prepare for the next journey. He knew that this adventure would be much more dangerous than his first, but he was determined to uncover the truth behind the map. After a few days of preparation, Ollie set off once again toward the mountains. This time, his journey was even more perilous. The higher he climbed, the stronger the winds became and the rougher the terrain. Along the way, he encountered wild animals and difficult landscapes. But what scared him most was the strange feeling that something was constantly watching him. After days of strenuous travel, Ollie reached the location marked on the map. It was a hidden entrance deep within the mountains, surrounded by towering rocks. He barely noticed a narrow entrance concealed behind thick bushes. This was the gate the wise man had mentioned. He hesitated for a moment before stepping inside, but he gathered his courage and moved forward. The passage was narrow and dark, and he could barely see ahead. With each step, he heard strange whispers echoing in his ears. These whispers were similar to those he heard in the first cave, but now they were clearer and more unsettling. After minutes of walking through the darkness, Ollie arrived at a large chamber dimly lit by a faint glow coming from gems embedded in the walls. The room was filled with strange statues and ancient symbols. In the center of the room stood an ancient stone sarcophagus, covered with the same symbols he had seen on the map. Ollie cautiously approached the sarcophagus, his heart racing. He felt as if he was on the verge of discovering something extraordinary. As he extended his hand to open the sarcophagus, he felt a cold hand touch his shoulder. He quickly turned around, but no one was there. He shuddered in fear, but gathered his courage and opened the sarcophagus. Inside the sarcophagus, he didn't find a body or treasure as he had expected, but an old book. The book was written in the same strange symbols, but Ollie sensed that it contained an ancient secret. He lifted the book slowly and began reading the first page in a trembling voice. As he read, the room began to shake violently, and the statues started to move as if they were coming to life. Ollie realized that he had opened something that should have remained sealed. He grabbed the book and sprinted toward the exit. The mountain trembled around him as if the walls were about to collapse at any moment. Ollie narrowly escaped from the cave before it crumbled, but now he carried with him a book that might hold dangerous secrets or a power beyond his control. As he stood looking at the mountain, now reduced to rubble, he felt that this journey wasn't over yet. He knew that the book in his possession was a key to something much bigger and possibly far more dangerous. Despite everything that had happened, Ollie was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, even if it meant confronting forces beyond human understanding.